let's move on to types of debt. Since we're talking about debt, let's move on to what kinds of debt there are, right? There is a this saying, we have bad debt and good debt. So what is a type of, like, what is bad debt and what is good debt? So let's think about it. The way I want you to think about bad debt is, if you have debt, will this debt help you earn income or passive income, or earn you any type of an asset, or help you become wealthier? So if the debt can accomplish any one of those things, then it's a good debt. If the debt doesn't accomplish any of those things, then it's a bad debt. Okay? So again, let's think about it. Credit card debt. Is this a good debt or bad debt? You guessed it, it's a bad debt, because credit card debt is going to drain your finances. You're not making any money off of this debt. It is absolutely worst, terrible, terrible debt. Okay, let's think about another one. Car. Is this a good debt or bad debt? Well, technically it's a bad debt, but sometimes you have no choice. You have to go buy a car. But again, remember, don't buy an expensive car. Buy a car that you can afford, right? Let's talk about buying a house, having a mortgage. Do you think it's a good debt or bad debt? Buying a house, going to the bank, and taking out a mortgage. Good debt or bad debt? So for those of you who said it's a good debt, you're not wrong. And for those of you who said it's bad debt, you're not wrong either. Let me explain. Let me explain what I mean by that. So, if I were to go buy a property, a rental property, and go to the bank and take a loan on a mortgage, and take this rental property, renovate my property, and then rent it to somebody else, rent it to a potential tenant, and this tenant pays me monthly rate. Say my mortgage payment to the bank is $1,000 a month, and my tenant is paying me $1,200 a month. That $200 a month is extra income for me. That's cash flow income for me. And $1,000 a month goes to the bank to pay off my mortgage payment. Fast forward that, extrapolate that for 20 or 30 years. After 20 years, I have paid off my mortgage in the entire $1,200, and at that point probably it's going to be more like $1,500, $1,600, $1,700 of the rent is going to come to me. So that kind of a debt is a good debt. But if I'm buying a house, which by the way, most of us buy a house, again, bigger than what we need, more expensive than what we need. Buying a house and living in an expensive large house is not necessarily giving us that's not a good debt, because am I earning money from that? No. You can argue, well, the house can appreciate. Yes, I agree with that. House can appreciate. And most of the time that it does by the time you're ready to resell. But also the real estate doesn't always go up. Obviously, we've seen what happened recently to real estate in different parts of the country, especially in the cities. Even in New York City, the prices have gone down because of COVID and pandemic and so on. So mortgage for your primary residence is not as terrible as credit card debt, but it's not as good as, taking a loan to start a business or taking a loan to buy a rental property. So think about it. Every time you look at a debt, you have to ask yourself, is this debt going to help me earn more income, either now or down the road? Is this debt going to help me to become financially better off? If the answer is yes, it's good debt. If the answer is no, it's bad debt. Got it? Excellent. I know you would.